So with that, that's my last slide. I did try to hop back and answer one of the questions from Dean about the multi-rover, acknowledging that, yes, that might be a way to do more science, but we really do want to drive that through the Moon and Mars objectives. So that's one place where we would look for feedback from folks. I do want to ask a question, Mike Serafin, if you're online still, a couple questions on here talking about maybe just some of the alternate mission profiles that could come up going forward. So there's a question, is there a chance that Artemis 3 might be repurposed to be a test of the HLS in space, similar to an Apollo 9 or 10? And then another question was asking if something like that were to happen, what does that mean for the following missions? So Mike, if you could talk a little bit about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, those are great questions, Jake. As I mentioned earlier, we are still working through the development and test program with our industry partners. And there's a lot of test and integration work that's ahead of us. We're going to have to wait and see how that test and development work plays out. And, if we run into issues in test, we may choose an off ramp. But right now, we're fundamentally focused on Artemis 3 being a human lunar return mission. That said, as caretakers of U.S. taxpayer dollars and as caretakers of agreements with our partners, we do what if exercises internally and talk about if we do run into significant issues or hurdles and understand what those breakpoints are relative to whether or not we should off ramp. We're not ready to do that now. There's a series of tests ahead, specifically to the human lander that were mentioned in the charts that I talked about, a propellant transfer demonstration that will show that we can aggregate propellant in Earth orbit before we send the lander to the moon. And then there's the uncrewed demo. Should any of those show that the results are unsatisfactory or that we need more time, we will absolutely take more time. I think the leadership within the Artemis program and at the agency level consistently show that if we need more time, we're going to take it. That said, we do have a plan that we're marching towards, and we're still on that plan, which is shown on this chart. In terms of going to the surface or not, as part of just standard mission planning, we develop a series of mission priorities, and those are all the objectives, and we rack and stack them from number 1 to number 99. And if we find ourselves short on performance or crew time or vehicle resources, we have to draw a line somewhere, and that is thoughtful planning that we do ahead of time. Landing on the moon and returning humans to the surface of the moon is absolutely a high priority. And that said, if we see something from a safety perspective that causes us to question our ability to do it safely, crew safety comes as our first priority. And when we talk about the mission objectives or mission priorities, our number 1 priority is keep the crew safe. Number 2 priority is keep the vehicle safe. And then number 3 is accomplish the mission. So when we talk about accomplishing the mission, we're talking that last bucket and what that means. And there are scenarios where we could find ourselves where we end up with just doing a touch and go because of what we see on landing on landing day, or we may only be able to stay a day and have to get the crew back up to Orion, or we could find ourselves in a position like we had on Artemis 1 where we are comfortable enough that we can add additional objectives. So we kind of analyze and plan for both ends of that spectrum, and we accomplish as much as we can within the time and resources available. But compromising crew safety is something that we're not even going to go there. So great questions. It really depends on where we end up in our test program, but then also in the course of the mission, our team develops a series of robust, what we call go, no go criteria, and there are decision gates all along the way. Go, no go for launch, go, no go for translunar injection, go, no go for rendezvous and docking in lunar orbit, go, no go for lunar descent, go, no go for touchdown, and then go, no go for lunar stay in each EVA. So we'll just take this one step at a time and see where the decision gates lead us, knowing that there are possible outcomes that could cause us to need to get the crew home sooner than we'd like. If we don't accomplish everything we want, we look at where does it fit next, where does it fit into the manifest downstream, and where can we on ramp that objective at a later time. And that's part of our macro manifest level view. And if we can't get it done within the context of that mission as part of the priorities that we've agreed on, we'll roll it back into the manifest and figure out where we can on ramp that. So each of those is a unique exercise. It's not really a one-for-one type of activity. Some of them require power, some of them require imagery, some of them require crew time, and given the activity and the nature of that activity and the resources and the leans that it demands, and where it fits against all the other objectives on the next mission, that is on a case by case basis that we have to consider that. So I hope that answers the question. And Jake, do you think I covered all the bases on that one?
Yeah, I think that's a fine answer, Mike. Thanks for walking everybody through that. And I could not agree more with Mike that, our job is to keep our friends safe and keep the vehicle safe. So number one priority for all of us. And then as we learn to do that properly, we'll go get the missions done. So thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. And Julie, thank you also for joining us today.